Hey you guys, I wanted to share with you guys some information that I came across doing some research, working on a project, and I came across some very interesting information. Right, it has to do with boredom. Let me just jump right into it. Right, so what I learned today was that boredom is when the brain is in a state of understimulation than pretty much what it's used to. So throughout the day, we'll go almost the majority of the day focused on screens, right? You'll wake up, the first thing you do is take a look at your phone. And then you'll be on your phone until you go and make breakfast or get ready or whatever. And then you got an iPad or something playing in the background, some videos and some audio, and you're just always constantly on the screen, because even if you're not on that iPad, as soon as you get off, from the breakfast side of it, you go into the work side of it, and then you're in front of screens again, right? You're always looking at screens one way or another. And so your brain is constantly stimulated. I mean, really think about it. When was the last time you gave yourself the opportunity to sit there and be bored, right? When was the last time you gave your mind the time to just sit there and feel bored and understimulated? And the reason you feel understimulated is because you're not on these screens. Your brain isn't being fed this information that it's used to, that it's constantly fed. And there's a lot of things I want to talk about, because there's a lot of I think misconceptions about boredom, and a lot of people want to avoid boredom. And after everything I have found during my research, it makes me wonder why people want to avoid boredom, because there's a lot of benefits that come from boredom, right? So the thing about it is that we are never bored anymore. In this world that we live in, full of technology, full of marketing, full of information, everywhere we turn, we are never bored, right? Especially when we have the world of information in the palm of our hands, and we're constantly watching videos, constantly watching entertainment, constantly doing all of these things on our phones, multitasking even, and that's a whole nother video. But we're never bored. We're constantly stimulating our brains, so we're never bored. So what I found here is that by not being bored, we're actually doing a lot of damage to our lives, I believe, because boredom is actually a key to innovation. It's a key to innovation. It's a key to creativity. It's a key to imagination. And it's a key to solving complex problems as well. When you're bored, your brain, I mean, how many times have you felt this? When you're there taking a shower, you're sitting there, your mind's in a state of boredom, right? And out of nowhere you come up with an idea. You're like, wow, eureka, right? The light bulb turns on and you have an idea because you were bored. What happens is that your brain works in the background when people are bored. When people are bored, the brain doesn't stop working. And what it does is that because it's not consuming information, it begins to then work with the information that it has consumed before. And this allows it to pretty much organize itself, clarify, bring clarity to the mind, as well as compile all of this information together to produce new ideas, which is what brings, improvement to creativity and imagination as well. So innovation is something that comes when we're bored. It's something that boredom can benefit. If you're trying to be innovative, if you're trying to be creative, then you have to get bored. You have to be bored. Get yourself bored in the mindset of boredom. You want to be bored. You want to get bored, because if you're not bored and you're constantly stimulating your mind, then you're not giving yourself the opportunity to be able to innovate new ideas and become creative. And see, okay, so boredom is something that I believe is a great benefit to many people, yet people are avoiding this. And what people don't know is that boredom causes your brain to think about the past, the present, and the future. Right? There are studies on this. And what they found is that the brain, most of the time, focuses on the future as opposed to the present or the past. And this is because when you're sitting there and you're bored, you're forced to think about nothing else than any kind of problems that you have in your life, right? People say if you want to really, hear the truth or something, you want to shut yourself in the room. But what happens when you shut yourself in a room with nothing to entertain you? You're bored. You begin to see the truth because your brain starts to work around all the information it has, and it begins to work with it and begins to produce solutions to whatever problems you may have. So this is why whenever we have a question, we can't solve a problem, and we're so focused on this, and we come to no solution at all. We spend so much time on this, trying to solve a problem. Then we break away from it, and we're doing something completely different. Sometimes we're even bored, and we're just sitting there relaxing. Bam, there's the answer. Bam, you finally think of something. That right there is boredom at work. That is your brain at work, doing its thing. And we have to allow the brain to do its thing. In today's society, we don't allow the brain to do its thing. We're handing it over to social media, we're handing it over to marketers, we're handing it over to so many people to be able to use our brain for their benefit, not even for our benefit. And this is something I think a lot of people should know, that boredom is actually good for you. However, people would rather feel the shock of pain than the sting of boredom. And let me tell you about that. There was also another study done that showed people being placed into a room for about 20 minutes or so, and they were given the option to sit there in complete silence with nothing to entertain them, right? To place them in the mindset of boredom. And they placed a red button in front of them. They just told them that if they pressed the red button, it would shock them. And what they found out is that the vast majority of those people would rather be shocked by that red button than to face the entire 20 to 15 minutes of boredom. What does this tell us? This tells us we don't like to be bored. We avoid boredom, which means that we in turn avoid the benefits that come with boredom. We avoid solving these complex problems in our lives. We avoid coming up with creative ideas. We avoid innovative ideas. We avoid focus, building focus for our life. There's a lot of things we avoid when we avoid boredom. So the pain of avoiding boredom goes deeper than just the surface of your skin, like the shock in the study. The pain of boredom goes deeper than the surface of your skin. And it goes deep into the very person you are and who you want to become. That's where you suffer the pain. That's where you're going to feel the hurt. Because if you don't allow yourself to feel the sting of boredom, you're never going to allow yourself to reap the benefits that come with boredom. And if you constantly stimulate your brain, you're never giving it the chance to grow in focus, grow in imagination, to grow in innovative ideas and creative thought. And this is the reason why a lot of people feel that they're not creative anymore, because they're constantly jamming their brains with information. They're flooding themselves, overwhelming their brain with too much data, and it's got to slow down. When your brain is stimulated, it's on the chart constantly like this across the chart. What we need to do is bring the stimulation down. When it goes on the chart, bring it down. And what happens when you bring it down, that's a state of boredom right there, when it goes down on the chart. So we need to place our minds in the state of boredom. Give yourself about 10 minutes a day, right, to stay bored, to be bored. That's all. That's all it takes. And you give your brain some more juices to be creative, to be innovative, to be a problem solver, to be focused. So much that comes with being bored. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys.